Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Wikia Stars Showcase. I am here joined by a prestigious group of Wikia stars. Joining me today are Jamie Hari, aka Jamie, founder of the DC database. Jamie, what's big in your
Hey,
world
Eric.
today?
Geez. Well, there's been a lot of casting movie news lately on DC, talking about Batfleck and some of the other wonderful news coming out. Still a lot of rumors going around, but ultimately we're just having a fun time talking about it right now.
Excellent. Next, we've got Nathan Elliott, aka Pete Parker, another admin on the DC database. Nathan, what's going on in your world today?
I'm actually having a lot of fun using the Facebook accounts for both the Marvel and DC databases, trying to reach back to our fans and spread the love about all this wonderful news that's coming out about casting, and seeing how they react and seeing if we can get some more interested people in from the Facebook side of things.
Oh, very cool, very cool. And last but definitely not least, we have Rab Townsend, aka Hate Bunny, another admin on the DC database. Rab, what's big in your world today, man?
Well, over on the DC Wiki, we are trying to accommodate all of the weird changes that happened during the New 52 and trying to make it all work from a coding perspective without yelling at each other too much about continuity because there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, and that, my friend, is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. As Jamie and Nathan probably remember, we kicked off this whole showcase video series with an episode on Marvel Now's new imprint. So I thought, what better way to kind of end the summer out than celebrating the 2-year anniversary of DC's New 52, which, as I understand it, was essentially a reboot of DC's entire line of comics. But I'm not going to break it down. Jamie, why don't you break it down for me? And can you give me a little bit of background on DC's New 52?
Well, I don't know necessarily what was going through their brains at the time, but definitely they're looking at their checkbook and seeing how the money's rolling in with the new initiative. So I think DC's really had a good time with the new initiative. There's a character by the name of Pandora that's in the first issue of every new relaunched book. All of their monthly books were the ones, just to be specific, that were relaunched. And although it didn't necessarily quash all of the DC history, really reset a lot of it and gave Jeff Johns, who's the chief creative officer over at DC, a lot of flexibility to reset the universe and retell some of fan favorite stories, and really just gave him carte blanche to tell some new interesting stories as well.
We had some pretty big stories in the recent past, like Batman R.I.P. or Blackest Night within the Green Lantern books. Was all of that stuff forgotten, basically?
Well, not all of it was forgotten. I mean, there's still some canon that has come forward, but I mean, they're really retooling the whole universe. They're getting down to as much as redoing origin stories, changing costumes. If you look at Barbara Gordon, she's no longer Oracle; she's back as Batgirl. I mean, there's just a lot of resetting. But I think that they're either going to retell a lot of stories, or they're going to explain that some of the stories we've seen in the past did in fact happen in this new universe as well.
Nathan, I'm going to kick over to you next, and I want to ask you, do you think that well, let me backtrack. Marvel has always, for a long time, kind of had this reputation of being able to connect with fans on a deeper level. I mean, their characters have been a little more relatable. The worlds that they create are a little more real world feeling, a little grittier. Do you think this whole New 52 relaunch was a direct response to that?
I wish I could say yes. I feel like the characters that were relaunched, that were changed, really didn't get much of a relaunch. They didn't become anything more realistic or anything more relatable. They were just kind of new costumes.
Rab, I'm gonna kick over to you now, and we're 2 years in exactly today to the launch of New 52. So I'm curious, what's your impression of the fan reaction been like?
Initially, there was a lot of negative reaction, and when I say negative reaction, I mean outrage, like people burning their bras and everything. But now there are these new people, the new fans who came in with the New 52, and they're just gung-ho about it. So that's good.
I remember the other aspect of it being such a difficult thing, specifically for the database, and really making those fans have a hard time with it, is we had this complicated structure set up to define which Superman was which Superman, and it was already really complicated. And then with the New 52, they essentially threw away everything we had already written about everybody and started over fresh again. So it just made it everything harder and more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, DC in and of itself has a kind of a reputation of rebooting their characters. You know, to that, I'm going to kick back to you, Nathan, and I'm going to piggyback on something that Rab said, which was kind of the fan backlash, if you will, to some of the retcon continuity. I mean, Superman, aside from a new costume like Jamie referenced earlier, he's not married to Lois Lane anymore. In fact, he's a bachelor who's dating Wonder Woman. You mentioned Batgirl, who is no longer paralyzed. It was a temporary paralysis that she recovered from, and is Batgirl
since 1988.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, I just wanted to get your kind of take on these changes. What's your personal feeling about this, and do you think they were necessary?
I think they were more than necessary and really not even enough. Some of the biggest changes that they tried to go through, like changing over Superman to show kind of his first year as Superman in jeans and a t-shirt, that was really awesome, and then they couldn't stick with it for very long and had to jump right back into the same type of Superman as they had before. So I feel like they should have gone even further, like the Earth 2 book that came out for a while, where they killed off Batman and Superman for a while. If they had done that for a couple of years, they would have really changed the status quo and really done something interesting that people would be following much longer than this temporary costume change or the technicalities behind the past changing.
You know, the big event book right now, or the big event, is we know comics are all about kind of their yearly big event. So the big event that's happening in the DC books right now is the Trinity War, right? Where we've got the three different versions of the Justice League. We've got Justice League proper, Justice League of America, and Justice League Dark battling each other. And that in and of itself is going to lead into another a big event book, which is called Forever Evil. So, Rab, I'm going to kick over to you, and my question is, do you think the past 2 years have been building up to this big event?
It's a yes or no kind of answer. I think, as you say, Pandora was in all of the first issues of what we call the first and second wave of the New 52. She's supposed to be responsible for the New 52's coming into being, because she's in that, spoiler alert, last panel of Flashpoint, where all of the universes get mushed into the one timeline craziness. We anticipated that would go somewhere pretty quickly. We were all sort of dreaming our little dreamy dreams that it would return to the original universe, but it didn't. They announced Trinity War really early, and we saw a preview of it in the Free Comic Book Day special a whole year in advance of the event, basically. But that was all we saw for a really long time, and I kept expecting there to be these hints and threads leading up to it, and nothing really surfaced until the Justice League of America book showed up. And there was a little bit of hinting about Pandora's Box, which is really central to the event, appearing in Team 7. But apart from the establishment of the three Justice Leagues, nothing really has been central apart from the existence of Pandora and the existence of the box. But I'm not really sure it needed to lead up to this event all for the whole 2 years, because it's better for things to just happen organically and normally, and so that you're not just having some event shoved down your throat every year. It's got to be a good story, and it's got to just happen.
From a cursory perspective of the events, you have Trinity War, which is a war with the biggest characters, right? And then you have the villains thing, too, which is all the bad guys in the whole DC universe, right? That's very appealing to everyone who doesn't have the rich background like Rab was describing, that just want to see the big guys hit each other and then the villains start to win. It doesn't have to culminate all into these one events, but it can also be something that's high level at the same time as something that's in depth for everybody.
That's a perfect note, actually, to take us out on it. And this is going to be a question for all three of you guys. Jamie, I'm going to go to you first. And I want to know what is the one DC New 52 book that readers should be following right now?
I'm personally a little biased, but I'm going to be following Justice League of Canada, being from Canada, so I'm looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that for a long time.
Is that called Alpha Flight? Is that the name of that?
Yeah, it's DC's Alpha Flight, absolutely.
Nathan, how about you, man?
looking back over the past 2 years, Scott Snyder's Batman run is the obvious winner. Even people who didn't like Batman liked that run. So it says a lot about what they were able to do with it and how little they really needed to change him from the new 52 perspective. So.
Rab, how about you, man?
I really want to recommend Batwoman because it's just one of the best books there is. I feel as though it's better than Snyder's Batman, but nobody agrees with me. And it's got some of the most beautiful comic book art I have ever seen, ever. If you want your eyes to explode with awesome, read Batwoman.
I think that is the perfect note to go out on. Guys, Jamie, Nathan, Rab, thank you so much for participating. It's always great to talk to you and geek out over comics with you guys. So thanks so much. For more DC Comics love, be sure to check out dc.wikia.com. We'll come at you guys next time. Thanks a lot.